I'm Brenda. I'm Brenda Wintermyer, and I'm an artist, a painter, full-time painter. I went to art school in York. It was the York Academy of Arts back in the 60s. It was like the art school to go to. I really didn't get involved in downtown York till about 20 years ago. So, and that was because I was teaching at the time at the York College and also Bradley Academy, the Art Institute. And I would take my students on field trips and we would come downtown. And a lot of the students many of the students were not from York, so they weren't familiar with the city. And I would bring them downtown and we'd go on walking tours and I would introduce them to the architecture of the city. We have such a diverse architecture in our city, 12, 15 different art periods. And then me doing that made me fall in love with the architecture, even more so, because then I was learning as well about the architecture in our city and the history of our city. And then I started painting the city. What I hope for to celebrate for the community, for the celebrating the Women's History Month is to bring awareness to the strength of women in our community, and also to know that we're strong, but we're also stronger together. There was one teacher when I was in college. Her name was Maya Shock. She was Japanese, barely 5 feet tall. She was a huge inspiration to me. And she was one of my painting instructors. And she was little but mighty and a wonderful, wonderful talent. And so I gained a lot of inspiration from her. Georgia O'Keeffe, she's always been a hero of mine. Now, she's an artist, of course, but yeah, she's always been a hero of mine, and her own person, being her own person. There's a lot of colleagues that I admire and adore, women entrepreneurs. We got women entrepreneurs all over the place in New York City, almost every little shop, and it's wonderful. And I admire all of those women. I admire their energy and their strength and their courage. When I started being involved in the city 20 years ago, my hope then was to elevate the people of the city, the people of York County, to elevate them to a new cultural awareness of what we have here in the city. Not to ignore what we have to change, because there's a lot that has to be done, obviously, and it always will be. Not to ignore that, but to embrace it and be aware of it, and I'm not an optimist. An optimist doesn't see the ugly. I see the ugly. I know what's there. I'm a prisoner of hope. I've always been a prisoner of hope. And so I know that things have changed a lot since I've been downtown in 20 years, enormously, and they will continue to change, and for good, change for good. We have a lot more to do with our divide, with the racial divide in our city. We have a lot more to do. And I have a deep yearning to be a part of that in a more hands-on way. And I don't know how that's going to evolve, but we'll see. I'll just have to be aware and be aware of opportunities. But I'd like to be a part of that energy. But on the beautiful side of things, my impact on York was to paint it and to make people see York through my eyes, through my paintings. And so that was my goal with York. So if I paint the city in exaggerated colors and movement, and they start to see York like I see it, and they start to believe that York is beautiful, and then it becomes this beautiful city, and it's empowering. And so that was always one of my missions,